Our last speaker of the day is Mignonne Pollard, is a spiritual traveler and educator. She graduated from Harvard University Graduate School of Education with a doctorate degree focused on global education. In her professional life as an educator, she works to help people understand cultural, racial, and gender identity differences. She has a passion in her life to build bridges and help others to embrace the concept of oneness. Mignonne has traveled to many countries around the world, and it's through travel that her heart has opened. Today, Mignonne will explore what happened to her soul as she navigated crossing cultures. Her soul talk is called Everyday Extraordinary. Please put your hands together for Mignonne Pollard.
So, if you'll just humor me for one moment and find someone and look at them. Lock eyes with them and just silently thank them for being on this soul journey of soul talks in Sacramento with you today. So just take them in, look at them, and give them a silent thank you. That's it. Seeing and being seen. Seeing and being seen. RJ, JG, the top changed a little bit since the introduction. So when you got up there and you said, "I'm so glad you see me," I said, "Oh, Lord, did he read my speech?" So seeing and being seen is one of the greatest gifts of the soul. And when I say seeing and being seen, it's not just the namaste, the God in me, and the God in you. But when I'm talking about seeing, I'm talking about taking a person in, taking all of them in with all that they come with. Okay, so I believe that the soul incarnates in the body and in the experience that it needs to grow and to learn. So I believe that I incarnated as a 21st century, early 21st century African-American woman from the deep South, from a small town, so I could have big town dreams, and navigating my gender identity and my sexual identity, also my soul could grow and learn and express. That's what I believe. And I believe it's just as simple as being present, of showing myself, being seen, and holding the other, and seeing. Can it really be that simple? I think it can. And when you see someone, when you give this gift of revealing yourself, being seen and seen, sometimes it's a mirror, sometimes they reflect back to you. Sometimes it's a person who lights the way. Sometimes it's a person who grabs you by the hand and reminds you of who you are. So the seeing and being seen is simple. It's just being present. And I want to share with you a poem. I didn't think I would do poetry, but I'm going to do some poetry. I want to share with you a poem, but it's a poem that is an invitation. It's an invitation to see and be seen. It's a poem by Langston Hughes. Some of you may or may not know this. It's called Theme for English B. The instructor said, "Go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true." I wonder if it's that simple. I'm 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem. I went to school there, then Durham, then here, to this college on a hill above Harlem. I'm the only colored student in my class. The steps from the hill lead down into Harlem, through the park, then I cross St. Nicholas, 8th Avenue, 7th Avenue, and then I come to Y, the Harlem Y, where I take the elevator up to my room, sit down, and I write this page. It's not easy to know what's true for you or me, at 22, my age. But I guess what I feel and see and hear, Harlem, I hear you, hear me, we two, you, me talk on this page. I hear you too, New York. Me? Who? Well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, be in love. I like to work, read, and understand life. I like a pipe for a Christmas present, or records, Bessie, Bop, or Bach. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks who are other races. So, will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white. But it will be a part of you, instructor. You are white, and you are a part of me, as I am a part of you. That's American. Sometimes, perhaps, you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you. But here we are. That's true. So I guess you learn from me, although you're older and white and somewhat more free. This is my page for English B. So this idea of renewing the new, when we allow ourselves to actually step into each encounter and be present and bring the fullness of ourselves into that encounter, that gift of being seen and seeing, it's easy. It really is easy. And it's how the soul grows and learns. And it's an ordinary, everyday thing. I mean, it happens every single day. Every day. 2 words. And it's every day. 1 word. Every day. Ordinary. And for me, this everyday, extraordinary thing that happened to me, it happened when I was least expecting it. It happened from a person that I didn't know, and I just had to accept it. So I am in Los Angeles at LAX, and I'm about to board a shuttle bus to go to the rental car place, so I'm leaving baggage claim. I'm dustling with the luggage, and I get on the bus, and all of a sudden, my phone rings. I look at it. It's an East Coast area code. I've absolutely got to answer this call. So I take the call, and I hear, Dr. Pollard, Dr. Pollard. Well, first of all, that takes me aback. That takes me aback because I am Dr. Pollard, but I'm not usually addressed in that way on a daily basis. So this person tells me how they got their phone number, and they said, you know, I'm cleaning out our house in Harlem, and there is this transcript that I'm reading that you did with Beverly Bruce, and it's absolutely changed my life. It's absolutely making a difference. And I said, oh, okay, I'm glad you got my phone number, thank you. And they really wanted to continue that conversation because they hadn't finished reading all the transcripts. They said, look, I've learned more about Beverly in these transcripts from the 20 years that I knew her as my tenant. I said, oh, okay. Well, you know, Beverly once said to me, she says, I've known people who are impressed because I work for the United Nations. Well, the United Nations is a hard place to work. If you're serious, it's a hard place to work. And if you're serious about social change, well, you would have demonstrated your interest in social change in your own country first. Well, Beverly Bruce, she was a mother, an aunt, a social anthropologist, a scholar. She was someone who was the chair of the United Nations Commission on Women and Refugees, a pioneer in refugee studies, the former ambassador to Liberia. She was 62 when I interviewed her in her apartment at Harlem. I was 26. I was trying to find my path, my way for my life's purpose. I was looking for people who'd done what I wanted to do, to live and to work abroad. So I sought out some elders, 4 women, who went back and forth between Africa and America. And those women, they were my light. They were my reflection. And they definitely helped me find who I was. They held that space of seeing me and gave me the gift of seeing them. So I want to share with you my first encounter, and you'll have to forgive me because I have to read this part, with Beverly. And I want to show you a little bit of this everyday This soul-changing, soul growth moment of just simply being present. We met for the first time around midnight when it was raining. This was a convenient time for Beverly. It was at the end of a black tie fundraiser in Boston and before her bus trip back to New York City. She was relieved that her day was ending. I picked her up from an art gallery, and as we left, I opened the door and I put up my umbrella to keep her dry. She complained affectionately, "Don't be silly, I won't melt." We got into a car, and as she chatted, I drove to the bus station. All the shops along the way were closing up that night. I was half listening to her as I drove through the streets to South Station. Who is this woman, I thought, and why does she come so highly recommended? Well, Beverly walked slowly and with a cane. It was her knees and the rain, she told me. So I slowed my stride as we walked together from South Station to a nearby diner. The light rain splashed up from the ground. The sound of the pounding jackhammers reverberated, and the bright lights that city workers were using flooded the dark streets. We arrived at Boston's original diner, a diner that was suggested to us by the clerk in South Station. All the trains had left for the night. All the flights were fully booked. So Beverly decided to take the last Greyhound leaving town that night. Beverly started her day at 4 a.m. in New York, then flew to D.C. for a meeting before arriving in the late afternoon for the Boston fundraiser. I wasn't thrilled to be in this diner when there was a perfectly wonderful, trendy diner just a few steps away. I really disliked this diner. I drank Lipton tea, which was an assault to my senses. And Beverly ordered breakfast and chatted with staff. She found out the details of all the famous people who dined there. Somehow she even elicited from the waitress her negative feelings towards the trendy diner next door. Beverly muttered to me about waste and excess. Well, this was lost on my young American, black, trying so hard to be bougie ears. Beverly engaged with people in all stations of life. And when the world was in a rush, she had her own rhythm. It's in this dumpy diner, after trekking through the rain at midnight, I was annoyed and overwhelmed. So I asked Beverly about this pace that she was keeping. And she simply said, "I think what happens is I go where I'm led. I think that is important. I operate on a high level of intuition and spiritual motivation." Well, the very things that drew me to Beverly, her work as chair on the UN Commission for Women and Refugees, the fact that she was a former ambassador, a former Black Panther, a Black person committed to women, to all poor people, her openness, her down-to-earth qualities, all of those things that made up the totality of Beverly are the very things that filled me with great discomfort that night. I didn't know it then, but my soul was growing and it was learning. And I hadn't thought of Beverly in years. But when I got that unexpected call while I was on the shuttle bus juggling luggage, it gave me pause. It renewed my soul. And I was able to visit with my younger self and revisit with Beverly. And the woman who called me gave me so much more than that validation of seeing me or telling me that my life had made a difference. She'd given me so much more. She'd given me the gift of reflection. She'd given me the gift of introspection. She also gave me this jacket. I told her she didn't have to send me anything, but anything Beverly had, I would freely accept. Reading through the interview sessions, I got an opportunity to be gentle with my younger self and grateful that Beverly had a trust and a tolerance to share her story, to hold presence, to light the way for me, someone who I'm sure I've heard her say is a lost little colored girl. But I do remember she said this to me in one of the times that we were together. She said, "Mignonne, when I die, I want to be remembered as a drum major for justice." And then she laughed to herself. "Okay," I said. And she said, "Do you know who said that?" I gave her a blank stare, knowing I should have known, but I didn't know. I said, "No." Beverly sniffed and said, Go out and find out, and don't come back till you know. My soul was growing. Beverly was reminding me of the people from whence I came. And just in case you didn't know, I found out it's Martin Luther King Jr. It's one of his most famous quotes. So my time with Beverly was just everyday, extraordinary. It was Harlem. It was great herbal black teas. It was lessons about life and black history, about womanhood, about memories, about reflection. It was during those sessions I was able to hold a space for her. She allowed me to see her, and she saw me. One of the greatest gifts of the soul. What I didn't know was it was practice for my future self, practice for the self that I am now, because that's the gift that I give the most. That is my gift. And it's new. It's new in every single interaction. It's new in every moment that you meet. And it's a little bit like a kaleidoscope. If somebody will allow you to see them, then you get to see bits and pieces of your soul like a kaleidoscope, which is why there's kaleidoscopes on the backroom office, just to remind you to be present and to share those parts of your soul, because it's through the seeing and acknowledging and recognizing the totality of who a person is that our soul grows and learns throughout time. So it's just that simple gift of seeing and being seen.